In a hospital room, Veronica Tyler holds the hand of her sister Amy, who is battling cancer. The doctors are doing everything they can, but sadly the treatment is not working. No matter what, Veronica believes her sister is a fighter and will beat this. However, it is not long before Amy dies. Veronica is left completely alone, having first lost her parents and now her younger sister. The young woman lives in a trailer. One evening she faints and ends up in the hospital. With regret, the doctor tells her that she has cancer. She reacts with near indifference. The same form of cancer claimed the lives of her mother and sister. It is hereditary. From that day on, Veronica begins an intensive course of treatment. Every day she goes for a run and also exercises, refusing to let her body grow weak or allow the illness to gain the upper hand. She has no intention of giving up. Contrary to the doctor's initial prognosis, Veronica's illness soon disappears completely. She is happier than ever. At such a young age, Veronica has already been through so much, losing her entire family, yet she loves life and wants to enjoy every single day. Everything changes when Veronica and 79 other random people are abducted by unknown captors. They find themselves on a running track, completely disoriented and unable to remember the recent events. They are forced to take part in a deadly marathon. The rules are simple. Anyone who steps off the track, falls 2 laps behind, or touches the grass dies instantly. Veronica accidentally steps on the grass and becomes the first victim. In the next scene, we are in the desert, where a soldier already utterly exhausted, is dragging another wounded fighter along. Justin Connor cannot leave the guy behind, so enduring pain and thirst, he keeps moving forward under the scorching sun. When night falls, Justin drags the guy into a cave to rest. In contrast to the daytime heat, desert nights are cold. Only now do the men finally introduce themselves. The wounded soldier's name is Eddie, and he is barely hanging on. They have to stay quiet. If the guys give themselves away, they will die. There are still 4 hours until dawn. Justin promises to get Eddie out of here as soon as the sun rises. The guys manage to make it out of that nightmare, and from then on, they become best friends. Because of his injury, Eddie lost his leg, but that does not stop him from living life to the fullest. Justin has found his calling too, helping children and teenagers with disabilities through rehabilitation. At his best friend's request, Eddie often gives motivational speeches to them. Having learned sign language, Justin interprets those speeches for deaf patients. Later, the guys are driving along, chatting about women to pass the time at red lights and in traffic. Suddenly something happens, a flash of bright light, and they too end up among the people on the deadly running track. People of completely different ages and social statuses have been gathered here, even an elderly disabled man. Obviously there is no way he can run, no matter how much he might want to. There is also a deaf pair of friends here, a guy and a girl who communicate in sign language. For some reason they can now hear a voice telling them to run or die. The main thing is not to leave the track, not to fall 2 laps behind and not to touch the grass. Justin and Eddie try to figure out what is happening and how they ended up here. Their running track passes through different places and buildings. It is unclear how their captors are watching them, since there are no cameras anywhere. The runners hear a voice in their heads counting down the number of survivors left. One of the runners, trying to get out, climbs over a high wall of barbed wire. But the moment the man takes a step beyond the fence, he dies instantly, making the others run even faster as they follow the signs. Many of them are already exhausted and can no longer keep going. But they cannot afford to stop for long. When Justin and Eddie see an Asian woman, who is trapped here with her younger brother, twist her ankle, they rush to help her. She begs them to bring a doctor. Justin promises that they will get help. The guys simply cannot afford to linger, or they will not make it out alive either. Justin struggles with this, but Eddie convinces his friend that if they stand still, it will not make things better for anyone. They keep running and come across a priest, who wonders why God is doing this to them. Eddie replies that this could be anyone, but not God. The priest says that this might be purgatory. According to sacred texts, all those who enter purgatory must walk the narrow road to heaven. Only 67 people remain. The priest tells the others that if they do not give in to temptation and keep to the path, then in the end they will reach heaven. To Eddie it sounds downright ridiculous. One way or another, they can no longer afford to lose even a minute. The next stretch of the course runs through a church. The priest steps off the path and dies within seconds. On the way, Justin and Eddie come across the elderly disabled man, whose name is Thomas. They help him get back up. If the man falls one more lap behind, this race will end fatally for him. The deaf pair of friends stop near them as well. The girl would very much like to help the unfortunate man. None of them know that they are being watched from above by a satellite. Beyond the next tunnel, the group finds a house. That is where they stop, including the deaf pair of friends and Thomas. He is a veteran too, just like Eddie. They are all in the same boat and must figure out together how to save themselves. Justin and Eddie try to convince everyone else to stay in the house until they find a way out. If they all stop, then no one will be able to fall 2 laps behind and die, which means everyone will have a chance. Those who refuse are held back by force by the former soldiers. To keep the race going is to doom the others. Justin, who knows sign language, asks the deaf pair of friends whether they have any ideas about how they could have ended up here. The deaf guy and girl explain that they saw a flash of light, straight from the sky. The priest, Thomas, and the others were there too, just strangers with no connection to one another. Thomas misses his late wife terribly. Perhaps he will be joining her soon. The others, however, are far more afraid of death. Some pray, some panic. They are all united by one thing: no one knows anything. It is unclear by what criteria each of them was chosen. Suddenly one of them, the cyclist, shoves Eddie aside and takes off running. At that very moment Thomas dies instantly. Justin runs after the cyclist. Meanwhile, the Asian woman and her younger brother also die when the cyclist overtakes them. So everything once again spirals out of control, and the people resume the deadly race, each one fighting for survival. The number of runners drops rapidly. A pregnant woman is no longer able to keep running and simply sits there, murmuring that this is the yellow brick road leading to the Emerald City. Dorothy will not make it home unless she finds the Wizard of Oz. If this continues, the cyclist will get rid of all his competitors. What awaits the winner beyond the finish line, no one knows. Even the cyclist, however, cannot run forever. Short of breath, he collapses. He sees the pregnant woman and asks how far along she is. Smiling, the woman replies that she is 8 months pregnant. She deliberately chose not to find out whether it would be a boy or a girl. The cyclist feels sorry for her, but he will have to overtake her a second time. She begs him not to do it. However, his own life matters more to him. Many begin to descend into madness and physically eliminate their competitors. The number of people dwindles fast. Justin and Eddie do not understand what is wrong with all those people. Then, while Eddie is briefly distracted, one of the villains cold-bloodedly takes Justin's life. Eddie is so shocked that he cannot believe it. Justin was like a brother to him. The villains are ready to send Eddie after Justin, but they do not expect that despite his disability, he is a war veteran and can fight them all off even on his own. Eddie takes care of all the villains who have turned this fight for survival into something even more insane. Only the main instigator remains alive, the cyclist. The deaf pair of friends see a woman ahead of them whom they have already overtaken once. If they do it a second time, she is finished. Suddenly the woman points behind them, at the approaching cyclist, who is preparing to overtake all of them for the second time. They realize that the only way to survive is to get rid of the cyclist. When during the struggle, the woman accidentally steps in front of the deaf pair, she is eliminated at the cost of her own life. The deaf man in turn wounds the cyclist. The girl falls into hysterics, no longer able to endure any of this. The cyclist manages to crawl away, but his leg is injured. Only 17 people remain. The deaf pair of friends once again end up ahead of him, yet the girl still cannot calm down, begging whoever is doing this to them to let her hear music before death, which now seems almost inevitable. She has always dreamed of it, because sound was beyond her reach. The girl could only guess what music sounded like. Her friend promises that they will find a way out, no matter what it costs him. They are not ready to end like this. Only 9 people remain on the course. To lighten the mood, the deaf guy signs to the girl that if they do not make it home, his mother will find all his model magazines. The girl cannot help but smile, thinking that in truth this is the last thing they should be worrying about right now. The number of people on the course suddenly drops by 3 more. Despite everything, the girl is glad that she got to hear something at least once in her life, even if it was the voice of death. Knowing that this may be his last chance, the guy kisses her. But she pulls away and explains that he is like a brother to her. The guy does not understand why she is acting this way when they are on the brink of death. There will not be another chance. The girl still refuses to give in, and then the guy becomes more and more insistent. She breaks free, and he runs after her. It is the first time she has ever seen her friend like this, and he truly frightens her. In the face of death, her friend, who had always seemed kind, shows his dark side. Taking advantage of the fact that the girl is distracted by some kind of movement, the guy knocks her out. But before the irreversible happens, she regains consciousness and demands that he stay away from her. Not understanding what came over him, the guy tearfully begs for forgiveness. Furious, the girl shoves him onto the grass, which proves fatal for him. Eddie keeps moving forward, just like the limping cyclist. Suddenly the voice in his head announces that only 4 people remain. Then the deaf girl attacks the cyclist from behind and takes his life. That is one less competitor. The girl has nothing left to lose, she is ready to do anything to make it out alive. Suddenly a woman, one of the 3 remaining runners, starts chasing her. They get into a fight. Eddie saves the deaf girl by getting rid of the aggressive woman. He explains to the deaf girl that he is not going to hurt her. They notice winged creatures in the sky, as if desperately trying to fly away. The girl thinks they look like angels. But why would God do this to them? While Eddie is looking at the winged creatures, the girl seizes the moment and pushes him onto the grass. But the man does not touch the ground with his feet because of his crutches. He had been ready to work together, but the girl betrayed him for the sake of her own survival, so she does not deserve his mercy. Eddie does what he has to do. That is how Eddie becomes the sole survivor of the race. He hears a voice in his head congratulating him on his victory. The voice also explains that Eddie is now in their human arena. From this point on, Eddie will represent the human race. Until now, no human had ever managed to survive. Like all those other 79 people, he was abducted by aliens for entertainment. He is going to have to compete in the next tournaments, where his chances of survival will be even lower. Eddie refuses to accept the role of a slave and steps onto the grass, but nothing happens. Climbing higher up the hill, the man sees the outline of another planet. He finds an underground passage and goes through it. The angels turn out to be terrifying humanoids who were executed by their own kind. A bright beam flashes, teleporting Eddie to another location. In front of him, he sees an alien ship, as well as an alien. Eddie is ready for a fight.